Even as Bangkok is reeling from the 7.7 magnitude earthquake, the city is also gearing up to host the BIMSTEC Summit. This would be the first physical meeting of the BIMSTEC leaders since the fourth BIMSTEC Summit in Kathmandu, Nepal in 2018. The summit's theme is BIMSTEC, prosperous, resilient and open. The leaders are expected to deliberate on ways and means to infuse greater momentum to BIMSTEC cooperation during the summit. Amid concerns, the Ministry of External Affairs has clarified that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Thailand stands. Listen into what MEA spokesperson Ranir Jaiswal has said.
On BIMSTEC, yes, we had a briefing by Foreign Secretary yesterday on the visit of Prime Minister to both Thailand and Sri Lanka, as we have conveyed to you.
We are being joined by Ambassador KP Fabian, former diplomat, and Ambassador Mahesh Sachdeva, a former diplomat as well. First of all, I'd like to start with Ambassador KP Fabian. When we're talking about BIMSTEC when we're talking about this situation, a giant earthquake that took place in Myanmar. It's also affected by civil war. Then there is extensive damage in Thailand as well. When I'm talking about the members in BIMSTEC, okay, there's a political instability in Bangladesh, and we are seeing there's a pro-monarchy rumblings in Nepal. So currently, this is the situation under which the BIMSTEC, the sixth BIMSTEC, is set to be held in Bangkok on April 3 to 4. So in terms of the current situation in all of these countries, what do you think will be the agenda for BIMSTEC?
You have expounded very correctly the background against which BIMSTEC is meeting. But we have to understand one fundamental point, that increasingly such multilateral gatherings do not by themselves produce important results, but they do give an opportunity for many a bilateral meeting to take place. And during these bilateral meetings, often important decisions are taken. And in the current instance, I should like to focus attention on the possibility of a meeting between Muhammad Yunus, of the interim chief advisor, or rather interim prime minister of Bangladesh, and Prime Minister Modi. Bangladesh has asked for such an appointment. I do not know whether India has responded as yet, but in my view, it is important that a meeting should take place for the following reasons. Yunus had gone to China recently with a huge delegation, and one report has said that it was 200. But I have not been able to verify. But that it was a huge delegation has been reported by many. And that very important conversation has taken place between Yunus and Xi Jinping. And we also have known that it has reported in our media that as regards TISTA, Bangladesh has welcomed China's participation. So, essentially, what India has to realize is that it is in India's interest, and I would add, even more so in Bangladesh's interest, that Indo-Bangladesh relations are restored, and for which a de-escalation is necessary, for which a meeting at the summit level between Prime Minister Modi and Interim Prime Minister Yunus will be most appropriate. Let us hope it will happen, but as yet we do not know.
Ambassador KP Fabian, as you were talking about the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and Muhammad Yunus, Prime Minister earlier has also written a letter to Bangladesh's chief advisor, when he was talking about mutual sensitivity and referred to the Bangladesh Liberation War as a shared history. And he wrote this just before they are set to meet at the BIMSTEC Summit in Thailand. So in terms of this letter where he has talked about underscoring the significance of mutual history and sensitivity, do you think there's a possibility that the strained ties that have been going on between Bangladesh and India, they can be restored in a way?
Thank you. I'm glad that you brought in the letter. I agree that it was important to put it into a letter what our concerns are. But I would add that diplomacy requires a sit-down conversation, not just exchange of letters.
In terms of when we're talking about in the aftermath of this earthquake in Thailand and Myanmar, do you think that now is the correct time when we're talking about BIMSTEC Summit, about regional cooperation, it's much needed?
Well, India has offered, and I'm sure that India would have already sent help to Myanmar, which is in need of help much more than Thailand. As you know, 1,600 people, that is a toll so far. And in Thailand, they have the machinery and all that. So India has done the right thing by offering help. And as I said earlier, one can talk of these regional consultations, but the regional consultations can succeed only when the bilateral consultations succeed before that.
All right, Ambassador KP Fabian, thanks for that. We also have with us Ambassador Mahesh Sachdeva, former diplomat, on the telecast with us. Ambassador Mahesh Sachdeva, I posed this question to Ambassador KP Fabian as well. When we're talking about BIMSTEC Summit, currently there's a giant earthquake in civil war ravaged Myanmar. There's extensive earthquake damage in Thailand as well. There's a political instability when we're talking about Bangladesh, and we've seen lately over the past couple of days that there's been a pro-monarchy protest happening in Nepal, and there was curfew imposed as well. This is currently the scenario with which under which the 6th BIMSTEC Summit would be taking place. In a scenario like this, do you think regional cooperation is really important? And when we're talking about the current status of all of these countries?
Yes, I think in fact these domestic developments have foreign ramifications, regional ramifications, and it's important for the regional leaders to put their heads together and express solidarity with the natural calamities, with and adherence to their basic tenets of democracy, pluralism, and economic development, and greater security for the region. And I think the summit, which has already been postponed 3 times before, since 2022, needs to take place if we are to have the right thrust given to the bilateral and multilateral development. The most important part of the summit deliberations would not be multilateral, but it will be bilateral opportunities for summits between, let's say, India and Bangladesh, India and Myanmar, India and Thailand, and later on, Prime Minister is going to Sri Lanka at the back-to-back summit after the BIMSTEC Summit. So all this with India as the linchpin, the largest economy, most populous country of this group, India gets a chance to show its leadership and to steer the turbulence-prone areas through calmer waters.
All right, Ambassador Mahesh Sachdeva and Ambassador KP Fabian, thank you so much for joining us on the telecast and sharing those insights.
For more such videos, subscribe to the Newsx YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.